brothers, sisters, siblings beyond the binary. My name is Zach, aka Mr. DXZ, and I am sitting here today to give you my recap and my opinion on WrestleMania. Full disclosure, this video was originally going to be a video of recap of wrestling, a new for the week, a new series I was going to start, but due to technical difficulties and life stuff, I had to rely on the articles way too much, and I did not feel comfortable with that. And I realized that as I was recording, so this video is going to be concentrated on WrestleMania. And more disclosure, I am using articles, recap articles from Fightful to make sure that I did not miss anything. With all that said, let's get started. So we get the Usos and LA Knight beating IShowSpeed and The Vision. So here's what happened, okay? Basically, I don't remember exactly why or how, but Speed was laid out in the ring, and while I believe it was Austin getting pinned by LA Knight, and he just laid there instead of breaking the pin. And Logan blamed IShowSpeed for that and started beating the hell out of him. And then the Usos and LA Knight saved his ass and had Speed frog splash Logan Paul through the announce table. Now, it was great. I'm not a huge fan of either guy, but it's always fun to see Logan Paul getting his ass whooped. Oh, the unsanctioned match, yeah. Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre beat the living shit out of each other, and Fatu ended up coming out on top. Now, okay, so the women's tag team match. Okay, so the Fatal 4-Way. You got the Irresistible Forces coming out. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair come out. Then you got Bayley and Lyra, and then you've got the Bella Twins coming out. Nikki's got the crutch and the boot, and she's like, "Hey, I'm sorry, but I was not medically cleared to compete." She goes, "I'm not gonna ruin my sister's WrestleMania. So I called an old friend to take my place." Then the oh so magical sound comes up. And the crowd goes nuts. I go nuts. And Paige comes out, makes her WWE return, and ends up winning the women's tag titles with Brie Bella. And then we get to the women's Intercontinental title match between Becky Lynch and AJ Lee. Now, things have been amping up between Becky Lynch and Jessica Carr. Jessica Carr happened to be the official for this match. Well, things came to a head, and in a move that could have gotten Becky disqualified, ended up shoving Jessica Carr at one point. Jessica shoved her back, and I was honestly thinking maybe this is how they're going to get Jessica Carr to start wrestling, because I know she's been training, or at least she was at one point training to be a wrestler. Becky ended up winning using an exposed turnbuckle. Gunther versus Seth Rollins. Yeah, that was a slap battle, hard hitting. Oh, Yeah, and then at one point Seth Rollins was outside of the ring, and then you see a human wrecking ball coming through and just spearing Seth Rollins out of his shoes. And that human wrecking ball happened to be Braun Breaker. So Braun Breaker's back, and yeah, it costed Rollins the match as he threw in, and Gunther took advantage, and yeah. And then you had the usual Hall of Fame segment, which, by the way, something that I noticed in the Hall of Fame ceremony, it was great and all, love the speeches. What happened to the days when they'd talk about, partying so hard that, the furniture was flying out of the hotel room window or something? Like, what happened to those days? Come on now. And then you cut to the Liv Morgan song music video thing. And I thought they were just showing it at Mania. So I was like, okay, I was gonna take a quick break to go get a drink or something. But no, it turned out to be for her entrance, where she was gonna, they were gonna do the whole choreography for from the music video and whatnot. And anyways, Judgment Day ended up interfering and helping Liv Morgan win the title. John Cena announced the attendance, which was 50,800 supposedly. And then Bianca Belair comes out, and you see her in this fluffy, not fluffy, puffy flower big jacket, and she's been out due to injury. And she comes out and then announces that she's pregnant. So congratulations to her and Montez Ford. But yeah, she unzips it, showing off the baby bump, and yeah, so congratulations. Oh my god. So Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. That was a bloody mess, literally. Story they were telling them. It was a story of the of not just student versus teacher, but it was a student that it was basically graduated student versus the wounded teacher, because there was, I guess, something going around saying that Randy's back wasn't 100% and something like that, and Cody took advantage of that, and also Jelly Roll ended up taking care of Pat McAfee at one point, so Cody didn't have to worry about that, and they did each other's moves on each other, and it was a great match. But yeah, Cody ended up winning before Randy started beating the hell out of him as a sore loser. Oh, and then also at one point the ref was out, and Pat McAfee came back with a classic ref striped shirt and neck brace on, and ended up 1, 2. Cody kicked out, and yeah, Pat McAfee ended up eating an RKO for that. And then we get to today / technically yesterday. Oba Femi versus Brock Lesnar. This was a match that I was looking forward to the most of both WrestleMania cards. This was the match that it needed to be. Short, it was sweet. It was two big men using their strength to, throw each other around, and beat each other down. I mean, for crying out loud, Oba Femi basically won with what was basically a pop-up powerbomb on Brock freaking Lesnar. It was what happened after the match, though, that was shocking, though. because after the match, you had Obafemi walking up the stage, leaving Brock in the ring. And now, once I saw that, I was like, is Brock retiring? And then, as you know, right before Oba got into the back, Michael Cole used the phrase, Oba is now the next big thing. And I'm like, okay, this is a passing of the torch. And then they cut to Brock Lesnar, still laying in the middle of the ring, selling everything. He sat up, started undoing his gloves, and then started unlacing his boots and left them in the middle of the ring before hugging Paul Heyman, thanking the crowd, high-fiving people, getting emotional himself, and being vulnerable in a way we've never seen before from Brock. And it was, yeah, Brock Lesnar retired. He passed the torch to Obafemi and retired. Then you got the crazy ass Intercontinental Championship ladder match between Penta, Javon Evans, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, Rusev, and Rey Mysterio. Now, given the names that I just listed off, the match went exactly how you'd expect it, and it was fantastic. You had Rusev throwing people and using the ladders and all that. You had flying, you had everything, but Penta ended up coming out on top. And then in probably the weirdest kind of double turn I've seen, Trick Williams defeated Sami Zayn for the US title. It was I don't know. I don't know if it's my autism that does this, but it's like, what? When people started booing Sami Zayn and cheering for Trick on, I believe, SmackDown, it threw me for a loop. So I was like, what? You know, it's just... But either way, yeah, Trick Williams is now your U.S. champion. So apparently, on the countdown to WrestleMania, Adam Pearce sat there and said that the match between Demon Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio was now a street fight, and basically they beat each other with chairs and all that. But yeah, of course, Finn Balor ended up coming out on top. Rhea Ripley ended up being Jade Cargill for the women's championship. And, you know, that basically went as you'd expect, which is Michin and BFAB getting involved, chasing them away, and forgot to mention the way that Rhea won against Jade. This was amazing. Rhea went to go for the Riptide. Jade Cargill ended up reversing that into a Jaded. But as she went to go up for Rhea, you know, Rhea just went right under her while holding onto a hand and gave her a Riptide, and it was so smooth and just amazing to watch. Oh my God. John Cena announced the attendance for the... Oh God, I remember this now. Sorry, it's been a hell of a night, alright? Kit Wilson and Miz come out, and basically Miz is like, hey, I'm sick and tired of this bullshit. I deserve to be on Mania. I am not leaving until I get my WrestleMania moment. Cena just looks at me and goes, "You're not leaving, huh?" "No." "Okay." And then he just kind of chills in the corner and just goes, "Do your thing. You want your moment? Here it is, kid." Basically. And then you had Danhausen's music starting to play. And then I don't know if they were kids. I don't know if they were little people. But what I do know is that they were these, what is described in the Fightful article as Littlehausens, coming out to confront Kit Wilson and The Miz. One of them punches Kit Wilson right in the family jewels, and then Danhausen does the same to The Miz before, with John Cena's permission, doing the 5-knuckle shuffle on The Miz. The World Heavyweight title match, this is by far the best match in the entire card. So it was a slow match, methodical, and it was just everything it needed to be, telling the story of, the experience versus the strength, and where Roman was on top for most of it, but then CM Punk would just get him with these little tactics, and it was amazing. At one point though, Punk ended up busted open because of steps, but Reigns ended up winning and becoming World Heavyweight Champion. Okay, now we have what happened at WrestleMania down. Let's talk about my opinion, which is WrestleMania was good. Definitely wasn't the best. The matches were good. It's just, there's a certain energy that WrestleMania usually comes with. It didn't have that this year for some reason. It didn't feel like WrestleMania. Especially like when you consider that there's usually some sort of nostalgia aspect to Mania. There's usually some thing where it's like the older some people from the older generation. Typically it's The Rock, Stone Cold, or Hogan or somebody, which I understand why Hogan can't, obviously, but doing something. But I also feel like Triple H is trying to weed out the nostalgia aspect of wrestling events, and it started with which started with the Royal Rumble, but it's just like, I can respect being like, hey, we don't need nostalgia to have a good show. I respect the hell out of that. But when you are sitting there and when it's tradition and something like this, that's just, I don't know, man. It's just like, where was The Rock? Where was Kurt Angle? RVD? Did you bother trying to get RVD? Like somebody, get them for some sort of backstage. Also, and this is something that I did not notice, probably because of ADHD time blindness. I heard of people online going, hey, there's what the hell is up with the ads? Like, I seen people do the math that if you put the ads together, but the time of most of the matches together on night one, there was more time with the ads, which is honestly nuts. Like, what the hell type of greed is that? Like, it's WrestleMania. We're supposed to, watch the freaking wrestling, which is in the name. Thank you all for watching. If you're into gaming, click on the little thing out there and take a look at my gaming channel. If you are into wrestling watch-alongs, come over here. Join me as I watch wrestling. Either here or on Twitch. The link to all my social medias are in the description down below. Thank you all for watching. I love you guys, and if there's anything that I want you to take from my content, is that you are loved, you are valuable, and you are awesome just by being yourself. Take care of yourselves and each other.